Welcome to Tea Trail. I'm your host, T Red, and on today's episode of Tea Trail Nature's TV, we're going to be looking at our relationship to mountains, their relationship to us, our move away from, and our move back to, which is very much the circle of life. Welcome. So, this is inspired in many ways from my stay at Macaba in Portugal on Crystal Mountain. Uh, and you could see the full circle of life which had transpired on the mountain and is continuing to transpire. It is just a cycle, it goes on and on and on. Um, and it really brought it home to me. So, our original settlements were more often than not found around the coastline and on big rivers as they were used for transporting bits and bobs. This was in the rise of civilizations as we know today. Others were nomadic and just kind of moved around following food if that is how it happened, right? Um, but for people to settle on the mountain, as I had a little walk today up to the top of Elf Church, I was kind of like, oh, they've got landscape terraces. And as I was making my way to Macaba on the train, I noticed these for the first time, and it is a phenomenal thing to behold. A lot like that of China and the East, and I can kind of appreciate in like hugely mountainous areas why they might choose to do this because they have no other option than to work on the mountain. But where we were in Portugal, unless some sort of significant landslide had happened, there were like valley areas, but still, the work that had gone on these terraced landscapes, I guess, like the difference in height. So, like there's your mountain, and then they dig on terraces like that to give them a flat area to work on. So they dig away sections of the mountain and then build those up with stone, which came from either the top of the mountain or slightly further away. And these were all brought in with like, a horse and cart. This would have happened years ago. And on speaking to a friend, Steve Jones from Area 39 Permaculture, these things would have taken hundreds of years to build. Um, so the amount of work that went into them was just like phenomenal, hey? So the mountain back in the day would have been the main meeting point for everyone around and about in their local community. It is where they grew their food, and food was, and still is, the central ingredient that binds community. So, like the food we were made privy to when we were in Portugal on these terraces was just phenomenal. Like, absolutely phenomenal. More grapes than I'd ever imagined in my life. It was just, and fig trees and orange trees, like all of this good stuff. So the houses and properties which were on the mountain had been left derelict by people moving off the mountain because of the move of our food production from local areas to larger farms and that which would include like the free market, so a lot of import and export, monoculture environments, and as we are now, the kind of use of synthetic fertilizers and a huge amount of pesticides, which come about from monocultures because it doesn't furnish the micro environments of the species which help protect that which is being grown. So you can really glimpse where like the movement off the mountain and the people into big cities or the conurbations of big cities, I quite often take a walk, and these houses are just beautiful here, like nestled on the side of the mountain. And on a few times I'd stop on the patios of these houses, get my book out, and just be lord of the manor and everywhere I pervade for an hour or two, just soaking it all in. So now, as more and more of us are kind of realizing that we are what we eat, and it should be organic, right? It should be grown how nature intended it, like with seeds in, which was quite a joyous occasion for me to find grapes and food with seeds in, because they have been removed because it is like inconvenient for people to take them out. Desexing like fruit and veg for convenience is well, it just is as it is. But for me, it's a little bit weird. So for the people leaving these houses, which were beautiful, and then for the likes of the new generation who are awakening and are on that healing journey, food is just a central part to our well-being, and our well-being is everything. So like the macabre community, they grow a lot of their own fruit and veg um, organically, and they recognise that we are the land. So Mother Nature, she's a clever old soul and an intelligent system, and she puts in the food what we need at the right time of year to help support our immune system and all of our growing and our energetic and spiritual needs. She does. She's such a clever thing. So, with Macabre springing up and lots of other communities, lots and lots in Portugal and worldwide, hey? So, I kind of see veganism and plant-based diets being the most revolutionary and quickest growing phenomenon that is happening to the individual. And then once the individual migrates or attracts like-minded souls into their experience, then permaculture becomes the second biggest kind of growing phenomenon that is happening worldwide at the moment. And permaculture comes from, well, two terms: agriculture and permanent. It is based on the natural environment, and it looks at how the natural ecosystems are self-fulfilling energy systems, so there's no waste. They all work off each other. They only use the energy they need, and they don't take the rest. And it is a regenerative system, so it gives back. It's a beautiful thing. So for people having been to somewhere like Macabre, and then tasting the good stuff and being able to participate in the good stuff, which reconnects you to all it is, they're then going, I'd like a slice of this particularly nice pie. And they're now rebuying the properties which were left vacant by people who couldn't maintain their way of living, which had been for like hundreds and hundreds of years. Change is a constant, hey, so I guess it was always going to happen. So now people are moving back onto the mountainside to live the life which we did before industrial revolution, or that period of time began, and corporations started pulling everyone into these big cogs of profit orientated machines. So you can see how the full circle is kind of, that's what life is, right? It's a cycle. It is a constant cycle. There are some bigger, which I'll talk through, and then some smaller. There are those which are contained in the body, and there are those which are contained in communities. There are those on a national level, and then there are those on like a worldwide level, and outside of that, on a cosmic level. So everything is a cycle. I chose to come in at this point in time to help highlight the benefits of moving into the new, making that available, and I accept totally where we came from, right? It is just, like I say, it was always going to be this way. For me, closer to home, when I was born in the late 70s, I was born at a time when people power and, what's the word? Unions, which were a large part of the working environment where members of the workplace could state their concerns, intentions, and wishes, and then be portrayed back to the business owners. So come 1980 or thereabouts, get the miners' strikes, and since then there's been a constant degradation of people power and a move towards profit power and the corporations that use profit as their foundational basis. It's not the corporation's fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just they are following a model, and once a model has moved as far as it can, it just kind of, it falls apart. We are in a period of time where what is happening presently is so damaging to that where we inhabit, and you can see the reflection of Mother's Earth pleas and screams reflected in her children, us, by way of our health and disconnection to each other. But good news, hey, we're on the other side, and we have so many tools now available to us. New ways of living. We are remembering where we came from and who we are. So yeah, as you said, like veganism to me just changed my life. Permaculture, which is something I'll be studying more of, is a beautiful practice which you can use not only for growing your own food, but for the rebuilding of communities, and outside of that, governments, which maybe even just a new term for governments would be a good thing, because phonetically speaking, government means mind control, like govern, mental. It is, we have given the government the power, which has happened just like over generation and generation. Something called the 7 generations. So we as beings contain codings and life experiences from 7 generations previous to us. So through various ways of control, we have given our power away. It's no biggie. We can take it back, which is the journey within. So yeah, permaculture is just this most beautiful thing. Biomimicry, which is like permaculture bases itself on the ecosystems and the way nature works. Biomimicry does that on the level of animals and systems again within nature for using the least amount of effort to get the most amount of results, which to me is just incredible, hey? So veganism for me, and this was the one that changed it loads. I restored my body, and in restoring my body, and the gut is a big one about that, right? So our brain is relatively important, our heart super important, and our guts, well, our guts are kind of like around our solar plexus, which is our powerhouse. That's where we generate emotions. Our guts have more nerve endings than our brain, and if you don't have a healthy gut, chances are you're not going to have healthy emotions. So the brain, the heart, and our guts are just well worth looking after. So for me, having been on my vegan journey, and not only repairing myself on a cellular level within my body, but also with those around me, and indeed an emotional level as well, I have kind of realised that what I spend my money on and the stories I tell and the words I use change the world around me. Really, everything is vibration, right? So if we keep on investing in the corporations which are damaging our environment and our world, then we keep on perpetuating the problem. If we keep on telling the stories, like looking at the problem as opposed to searching for the solution, which problems arise so we can find a solution. That's it. I guess a trail running thing, hey? Just getting back in touch with that intuition and doing that which is right. And the words we use, hey, words are bond, so I am all powerful, I am infinite possibilities, I am perfect health. All of these change my programming, and that's kind of connected to all it is. So yeah, it is an amazing time to be around, and it is my honour and a pleasure to make this information available on behalf of Mother Earth and my fellow co-inhabitants, including the animals, right? Including those that don't have voices. So just going back to mountains and our relationship with them, mountains in a duality sense of the word were quite often recognised as the base of the mountain being masculine energy and the top of the mountain being female energy. We used to get all of our nutrients from mountains as the rains came and washed minerals and nutrients from the mountains. They would then end up in the rivers, and the rivers, when they flooded occasionally, would spill out over onto the floodplains. And the floodplains is where we used to do most of our agriculture and growing. And now we don't in this country, and I should imagine that's probably the way in quite a few. We have been disconnected from not only the beauty of the mountain as we move towards cities and conurbations, but we've also been disconnected from local nutrients which give us everything we need at the right time of year in a perfectly presented food plate of deliciousness. And now we get packaged kind of, I guess that's quite a nice one, hey? So packaged food, because a lot of it is processed by machine, it is devoid of love, human contact. And like babies, when they are reared, if they are devoid of human contact, not so good. There's no love. So growing your own food, cooking your own food, tending to the land, that's the circle of life and the cycle of life. And yeah, being reintroduced back to that, and it's an incredible time to be around. So, yeah, super honoured and super blessed to be here at this present time. If I can be of any assistance, don't hesitate to get in touch. I have been T-Rad. This is T-Trail Nature's TV, bringing you the north, east, west and south of the new world. There you go. So stay present, and be free, and be love, and plant seeds for all of eternity. Peace.